All right, so after playing a couple more dozen games or so, this is the original deck list that we started with, as you saw in the previous video. What I did was tweaked it. There's a lot of things I don't like about this deck, namely too greedy of a curve. As you can see that the curve, there's more 5+ power cards than there are like 4- power cards. This is too greedy, too many big units. I did not like the Alluring Ember, which was a pretty poor top deck and pretty poor draw most of the time. If it's in your opening hand, it's basically a useless card. I understand that this is one of the better cards to put your Divining Rod onto, but I found that the number of games where that was relevant was very few. Either one, you have the Ember, but you don't have the Divining Rod, or two, you have the Divining Rod and the Ember is dead. Or you have neither. So another problem too is, despite the fact that it only costs 1 to play and it has warp, you figure you would always just play it off of top of your library, and then you don't have to worry about drawing it, and it's basically a free card, quote unquote. Ironically enough, that is not true. In the first 2 or 3 turns of the game, I find that it's very unlikely that I have the faction requirements to play this card off the top of my deck. So imagine on turn 3 or turn 4 even sometimes, and you're kind of waiting on power, and you don't have the faction requirements to play this, and it's warped, it's on top of your deck, and you know you can't play it, and you also know that you're drawing this card your next turn. It's the most miserable feeling. Even sometimes on turn 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, when you have 5, 6, 7, or 8 power, you think that you can just play this card and play something else in the same turn. What I found was that was often not the case, which is something you really have to experience to really understand. It doesn't make a lot of sense on paper. You figure when I have 6 power, I'll just play the Alluring Ember and then play a 5-drop, like a Soulfire Drake. Or if I have 7 power, I'll just play the Alluring Ember and then play a 6-drop like Heart of the Vault. But that's actually not how games play out, because you're always starved for power. So when you're on your 5 power, you're just waiting and waiting for the 6 power, because you played all your 5 power spells and 4 power spells. You have a handful of 6 and 7 and 8 drops, and so every turn you're starved for power. And as soon as you draw that power that you need, so say I have used up all my 5 power spells because I have 5 power, and I have a handful of Heart of the Vault and Icarius in my hand. So I draw the next power, and bam, the Alluring Embers is on my deck. So I now have 6 power in play. I have a handful of 6 drops. Am I going to play the Alluring Ember off the top of my deck and warp it in, and then have 5 power left and do nothing else that turn? Well, the answer is pretty much always no. You would rather just play the Heart of the Vault or the Icarius or the Divining Rod or whatever you have in your hand. So as a result, you end up not warping in the Alluring Ember and lose that card advantage, and you end up drawing it, which is just a horrendous top deck when you have 6, 7 power in play. So yeah, it's actually this. Despite the fact that on paper it is the best Divining Rod target. Oh, actually, even when you do play the Divining Rod onto the Alluring Ember, a lot of the times you just miss, because it's very rare to hit 3 or 4 units. Sometimes it's mostly 0 or 1, maybe 2, and worse yet, if one of those units you hit is another Alluring Ember, it is the worst feeling. So for all those reasons, I don't like this card. The curve is way too high. There's definitely not enough early game interaction. There isn't enough for here in this deck to allow you to survive to turn 5 Harsh Rule if you're playing against a very aggressive deck. So I think my record of this deck is definitely below 50-50 win rate. So what I did was I tweaked it, and I took out all the cards that I didn't like the Alluring Ember. I reduced the number of high-end cards by a decent amount, down to 2 copies, down to 3 copies. I reduced the Divining Rod, and I added a bunch of early game cards like Torch, and Temple Scribe to basically stall out the game a little bit. Temple Scribe, of course, is both an excellent blocker and a way to cycle through my deck faster, looking for the cards that I need. And then I added also 4 copies of Dawnwalker, because this is a very powerful blocker or attacker against control decks. And it's just a lot of incidental value and card advantage in a very powerful unit. So And the torch, of course, helped me survive against the early aggressive decks. And this significantly improved the deck and the consistency of it. Obviously, you don't have those amazing Divining Rod plays where you may get 3 or 4 units and win the game, but that didn't happen very often anyway. So, and it still doesn't happen very often here. And I played this deck for another maybe couple of dozen games over the last week. So the timing between this video and the one you saw right before it is about a week apart. I recorded the first one last Saturday or Sunday, and this one is a week later. I did a lot of games in between during the weekday. So I played this deck a whole bunch, and I found that I still don't like it. Number one, it gets color screwed a lot. The influence requirements is way too extreme. I had a really tough time getting double fire, and then double justice in the first 5 turns, and then it becomes triple fire, triple time, triple justice in the next few turns, and that was way too difficult. I got a lot of games where a lot of these cards were stuck in my hand. So at that point, I'm wondering if playing a 3-color deck was worth the color inconsistencies I got out of it. And the Divining Rods were very unimpressive. I actually win most of the game by just simply playing these really big units and attacking my opponent until they die. Soulfire Drakes were a really good source of surprise damage, and then Icaria was also a really good source of charge evasive damage. And between these cards and Heart of the Vault and also Kaleb, I just simply attack people. I hard cast these things and then attack people until they die. So I played around the builds with the builds a lot, and I came up with this. Oops, sorry, this is the first version. I came up with this final version, and as you can see, I completely removed the Justice part of the deck, and it's just straight up Praxis at this point. But I kept the big units like Kaleb and Heart of the Vault, Soulfire Drake. I added more evasive threat in Crimson Firemaw. And I upped the copy of Shatterglass Mage, and I reduced the number of Divining Rod because this is no longer a Divining Rod deck, really. It's the Divining Rod is only good in this deck if you've managed to kill off one of your Soulfire Drakes and everything in your deck has flying and charge. So, as you can see, the curve it's much more different now. The curve is very high in the 1 and 2 drops, and that is because the biggest problem with the deck was surviving the first 5 turns. Firemane Cub was a concession to the current extremely aggressive meta. Half the deck that I'm playing against these days are Stone Scar, Aggro, Daedalus, Burn Queen, Skycrag. Those decks are super popular right now, and this deck doesn't stand a chance unless you can survive the first 4 or 5 turns. And Firemane Cub is really good. I like it more than I like the Grenadine Drones, which is 1 mana for are basically 2 1/1 units. I think that the 1 damage is more relevant because killing something prevents your opponent from buffing it the next turn when they attack. So I think it's pretty good. It's also very good at incidentally triggering Aegis off of your opponent's units, like Bartholo. So I do like it more. And then, so this deck has a lot of 1-drops and a lot of 2-drops, and the idea is to ramp using Initiates of the Sand and using Sourpot Wrangler to ramp into your 5 attack units. Sometimes you can play, if you're lucky, you can play a Crimson Firemaw on turn 3, and then you hit the guy on turn 4 and play a Heart of the Vault on turn 4, if you get really lucky with the influence requirements. So, and then with Waker of the Ancients, it is a very good way to get card advantage in the long run. And the reason I use Sourpot Wrangler instead of the Power Stone is because it's a 2/2 body and it can chump block or trade against opposing aggressive decks. And because I have 40 units, I do exhaust the Stone Scar, Burn Queen's removal spells. I think they really only just have the 4 Torch in their deck, and yet far too many targets for them. So this will end up being very effective at blocking their 1/1s. Same with the Waker of Ancients. So this gives me a much more consistent and reliable early game, which will hopefully survive into the mid game, where my card advantage and also really large units take over the game. Flying, evasive threats, especially ones with charge, very powerful. You can finish an opponent off from 25 to 0 in 2 or 3 turns if you play Soulfire Drake, Soulfire Drake, Soulfire Drake, for example. And then Kaleb, of course, is often going to be a game-winning card when you play it because you should have a bunch of useless red units in play like Firemane Cub, Waker of Ancients, Diogo, Shatterglass Mage. Once you put weapons onto them, you will finish the game very quickly. So this deck is really fun to play. It has some problems though. Sometimes hitting the influence requirements for these cards is not as easy as you think, even though it's only a 2-color deck. So I do lose to influence requirements still, just like the last version, but a lot less with this version. And this deck actually surprisingly good against late game decks. A lot of control to mid-range decks have problems against the card advantage that is Heart of the Vault, and so Heart of the Vault and Waker of Ancients is actually very good against them. So with that said, let's jump into a few games. Okay. That's too bad. This is a risky hand. It's a 4-power hand, but 2 of these powers can be killed. The 2 initiates. These don't do anything until I draw a 5 attack unit, and I only have 1 source of time here. This is actually a bit of a risky draw, and I can't play the initiates on the first turn. I'm going to try for something a little bit better. Because the hand doesn't do anything. I have lots of power and then a bunch of 1/1s that fly, but otherwise does nothing on their own. So in that hand there, I need to draw not only power, but I need to draw influence of a specific color, and I have to draw units. Otherwise, it doesn't do anything, and that's a lot to ask for. Whereas this hand is a lot better because I have a bunch of cards in my hand that does stuff on their own, and I have a decent number of power sources. So for example, next turn, if he doesn't kill this 1/1, I'm drawing 2 cards and I have a 5/4 in play, and presumably I'll have 6 power soon enough at the rate things are going now. Okay, so let's go ahead and draw some cards. Attack him for 1. Yeah, I think this deck actually has a very good game against a Felon Control. I think Felon Control is a little bit too slow for this deck. So let's just go ahead and hit him first, I believe. I am going to play the friendly Wasp here. So I'm going to play the Monument as a depleted source rather than turning it into a 5/5 because I have some 8-drops in my hand and I would like to get to them as quickly as I can. So my opponent concedes. Very uneventful and unexciting game there. I do think that even if the game dragged on later, my deck has a very positive matchup against Felon Control though. I'm actually not too worried about most of the control decks. My deck goes over top of a lot of them. Even Chalice, I've had a pretty decent win rate against, I think. This deck is surprisingly good against Harsh Rule, as long as you hold a Ancient, Waker of Ancients in your hand, and if they have ever killed your the 5/2 dragon, whatever it's called, if they kill it without silencing it first, then they're in a lot of trouble. Soulfire Drake, then they're usually in a lot of trouble. We're missing a fire here, and I need triple fire to play the Soulfire Drake, so that's a mulligan. Influence requirement in this deck really is problematic. And here we have even more problems. We're going to play the Praxis banner first instead of the Monument. They both come into play deplete anyway, but this gives me both colors, so it's a little bit more versatile. So now we need to draw some power. I don't think we're ever no. I don't think we're ever going to play that Kaleb from our hand in this game. Although we do seem to be playing against a control-oriented color base. These 3 colors very often means control, but we'll see. Well, Wisdom of the Elders definitely means this is a control deck, and now we're screwed. Because even though we have a Sauerkraut Wrangler here. We don't have double fire, so we still can't play the Crimson Firemaw. And if he Lightning Storms, then I lose my board. This is really bad. We need to draw. If we drew 5 running power, I think we'll be doing pretty good. Come on, deck. Do me a favor, and let's see what he silences. He decides to silence this. So now we're in a lot of trouble. These cards don't do anything in multiples, so we're just going to hold it in our hand. No point playing another one out for him to Lightning Storm away. And we didn't draw power, so that's a huge problem. Yeah, he's going to kill all my units very quickly here. It's problematic because even when I draw the power, I still can't play the Crimson Firemaw because he kills it. So that's not good. You think with a 2-color deck you can hit double fire. Alright, let's just throw that one out there for him to kill. At least it trades for his weapon here rather than getting hit for 4 for nothing. So I'm losing 3 units to his 1 weapon. Oh dear. He's at 7 power, by the way. I think a deck like this, and that he runs weapons. Yeah, I was gonna say Icaria and followed by maybe a Sword of the Sky King is gonna come down pretty quickly. At this point, I think it's too little too late for us. I don't think anything we have matters because he'll have removal spells or weapons in his hand that can kill my dragon. And I'll be taking 8, and then I'll be taking... so I'll be at 6, and I suspect he'll be able to finish me off the following turn. Man, still getting power screwed. That is one of the problems, though, for running cards like this that acts as a power source, but can be killed. Yeah, so I think this game is definitely over. He has more than enough damage to kill me. Even if I play the Crimson Firemaw to block Icaria, he still has 6 damage in the air. So there's very little I can draw that's going to save me here. Yeah, definitely not that. Yeah, like I said, faction screw is still a thing with this deck. Maybe I should play 4 copies of Praxis Strangers to help with that, but yeah, that might be a worthwhile. That might be something to think about. Perhaps I can remove 1 or 2 copies of Kaleb, but I do like to have those giant units in the late game, though. They're really fun to cast, so I would like to be able to play them, or I would like to be able to at least draw into 1 or 2 copies of Kaleb every game later on and watch. It's I don't know. For me, it's really fun to just watch what kind of weapons get played. It's kind of a form of gambling, perhaps. It's really exciting to see. Alright, so this hand is the best we've seen in a while. We have turn 1, turn 2. We'll start with the initiates. We have a turn 1, turn 2, maybe turn 3. Oh no, I can play both of these in turn 2, so it would be nice to draw a 4-drop that I can play on turn. Yeah, fire's fine. We'll grab a time here. Attack him for 1. Definitely should have attacked him first and then play the unit. Really bad habits. So don't do what I just did. Okay, we'll just torch that. Or even offer him to trade. I don't think he will. You know what? I'd rather offer him to trade here. Because having the Wrangler is actually not useful because I don't have the faction requirements to play Heart of the Bowl next turn. We needed to draw another seat or banner to do that. I think that's my best draw. If I draw a seat or a banner, I can... Oh, hey, that's nice. So let's just go ahead and play this, and we'll give him the trade again. Okay. We're not going to play the Firemane Cub. I think there's no point. Maybe we can use the Firemane Cub to trigger a Aegis off his Silverwing Familiar. Okay, that's fine. That was a good target to put the Divining Rod onto, though, I think. It can hit. Well, actually, that's not true. It can only hit. It can only hit the Heart of the Vaults. Ah, perfect. Well then. Oh yeah. I already played land this turn. Might have clicked end turn there a little too fast. But now he's gonna have trouble getting through to my 6/6. If he attacks me, then he definitely has a Torch or Finest Hour, and we're going to respect that and not block. Okay, well that works too. We'll respect that as well and not block that. Yep, I would take the 6. On the attack back, I mean, we're just trading damage at this point. So my question is, do I play Divining Rod? But I don't think any of these are good targets for Divining Rod. So I think what I'll do is simply play Heart of the Vault, shoot him, and attack him for 6. If he attacks me, I'll just chump block it with my Wrangler here. And then he can't trade because he's doing. I'm chump blocking the 6/6, but I'm doing 12 damage on the return. I don't think he can. I don't think he can raise that. Okay, that's good. So I have a couple of options. I can still Divining Rod this. I mean, I don't have to hit anything. Just a 9/9 is pretty good for racing. But I could play Diogo. I can play all 3 of these cards and then Divining Rod Diogo next turn, or Ultimate Diogo next turn, which I think might actually be better. So let's just go ahead and attack him with both of these. I'm planning to play the Firemane Cub to trigger Aegis, and then the Friendly Wasp, so I can chump block if I have to. So I'm not worried about trading these. Okay, so let's trigger that. And obviously, I play Diogo post-combat because I'm not going to be attacking with it anyway, because he can kill it for free with his Champion of Glory. Okay, so he's getting 5 life, but 17, I think he's still... If he attacks me, I think he's in a lot of trouble. But I don't think he has an option, because sitting back, I guess he can block the Diogo, but I would only attack him with my Heart of the Vault. So sitting back and attacking are both not great options. I guess he wants the Warcry trigger off the Hammer of Might. So is he dead? So 6, 7, 8, 9, 14, exactly 17 damage, I guess? Wait, let's do the math again. What if he has a Torch? Nah, whatever. Let's just attack him. Oh, wait. I draw 2 cards. Let's see what I draw. I could draw a Torch. Alright. Alright, that's more like it. Opponent's draw was pretty average. I mean, I wouldn't say his draw was bad for that deck. Haven't really ran into a lot of Recano decks recently. That deck has really fallen in popularity. Nope, this is clearly no good. I might actually replace those monuments. They're very rarely relevant. I almost always want the non-depleted source at the beginning of the game. So let's go ahead and... Yeah, let's just go ahead and grab a time here. The intention is turn 2. I can play the Time Sigil and play the Waker of Ancients, and then I can play the Praxis Banner the following turn. Alright, let's see if his second one is Justice. Or if it's Fire. Not Justice, alright. Hit him for 1. Definitely not going to play the Firemane Cub if he plays Bartholo. Oh, so my opponent's power screwed. It's gonna be a fairly uneventful game, I think. Unless he has an Annihilate here, which he does. Alright. So I got not a whole lot going on. So I have a couple of options here. I can cast Initiate the Sands and Crimson Firemaw, or I can just play the Drake and smash him. I think I'll do both. I think I'll cast these two cards. An uncontested Crimson Firemaw leads to the most absurd game states. Okay, well. For having only 2 power, my opponent is doing very well. Alright, well, this is absurd. I'll just shoot him. Okay. Alright. I could have shot him at the Instigator and then Firemaned it, but I mean, there was a risk that I don't draw power, right? In this case, I drew a undepleted power, so that's pretty good. That's fine. So this game is not super eventful. My opponent is clearly super power screwed. So I suspect I'm gonna win this game without too many issues. Yeah, I have 2 Heart of the Vaults in play. I can't really imagine my opponent winning here. Yeah, I don't really want these Reinarchs. I think before the next game starts, I'm just gonna take out the monuments and put in regular sigils. At least take out 2 of the monuments. I think that would be good. Okay, my opponent's still got a very good hand. He's still hanging in there, but yeah. Let's see what we'll do here. Well, I'm pretty sure I'm just gonna smash him with the Soulfire Drake. No. My opponent's putting up a valiant effort, but I mean, getting stuck on 2 power like that, nothing is gonna save you. Especially against a deck like mine that has a very strong late game and a very weak early game. You know, so I got through the period of the game where I'm the weakest. Okay, so let's replace 2 of these with just regular sigils. So I think a regular's 2 and 1, but I feel like the wins weren't super rewarding. More of my opponents getting screwed worse than I am. I tend to say that a lot these days. Okay. Too bad the Wrangler isn't helping me play Diogo in any way. One of the few cards in my deck that is not 5 powered. A few of the, sorry, like 4+ power cards. I think there's a higher upside with the Wrangler because I could draw a Firemaw next turn. Okay, we'll smash for 2. We'll play the Wisp as usual, keeping back the Firemane in case. Oh, he hits nothing. He concedes. Okay. Yeah, in case he plays Bartholo. I've been seeing a lot of people play Sabotage in their decks, which is a card that I love. If you've seen the history of my videos, I have a lot of decks that I have that plays 4 copies of Sabotage. I've been a huge fan of that card for 3 or 4 months now. But recently, you see that a lot in Ladder because I think ManUS posted a Reddit article saying that he found the best version of Argenport. And it uses 4 copies of Sabotage, which I agree with. I think Sabotage is really good in Argenport because if you can strip the first copy of the removal spell, chances are Bartholo is going to survive, and then you're going to win the game. So that's not good. Our turn 2 play is bad. And we don't have anything else. You know what? I'll keep it. I'll keep this hand. I do have a turn 2 play. It can block some 1/1s, maybe trade with a 2/1. And then I already have 3 power, so I'm only 2 away from getting the Soulfire Drake. Yeah, I think you just have to trust that your deck draws okay. And I'm playing against a very slow deck, it seems like, because these color, basically anything Horu, beginning with Horu, is possibly going to be a control deck. So he's going to torch this. Oh, it's 4 colors. Interesting. I have 2, 3, 4, 5, I have 5 power. I actually want this to be a power source rather than a 5/5. So, wow, my opponent is going deep. I haven't played against any very many tier 1 decks recently. I think all 4 or 5 of my games. I think the Argent Port is the only real... Wow, okay. The opponent's gonna have a lot of dragons soon, but I have a dragon right away. He still hasn't done anything. He just spent the first 5 turns playing 0 spells and 2 Kratos. That's more than fine. Now everything. Charge on the Firemane Cub. Sure, why not? Alright. I think for fun, I'm just gonna play the Firemane Cub next turn and put a Dividing Rod on it and see what I can... Okay, sure. And see what happens. I can always play the Heart of the Ball next turn. Oh. Well, you know... I kind of want to just attack him with my Soulfire Drake at this point. Nah. I mean, this is way more fun, right? No, that thing got flying. Alright. Alright. Yeah, the Shatterglass Mage got flying instead of charge, otherwise he dies this turn. I can't imagine a world where he doesn't die. Okay. Yeah. Kratos decks are, I think, going to be hit or miss. I mean, after all, you build your entire deck around a card that you really only have 4 copies of. You may not draw into them a lot of the times, and you also do nothing until you draw into them. Like, it doesn't count if you play your spells before it, right? So and it's a 5-drop, so everything you do up to turn 5 is just to look for it and not die, and then you play it, and then you have to play 5 more spells to just get a 5/5 flying unit, whereas you could have just played a 5/5 flying unit for 5 power in any color. So I am highly skeptical about that deck, but I'm sure it's fun though, and a lot of people are certainly playing this game more for fun than anything else. Okay, we're going to start with the Seat of Impulse. Over the Monument, I understand that the Monument always comes into play depleted, whereas the Seat could potentially be non-depleted, but I really like the idea of having access to both my colors, so this is where Firemane Cub is at its best. And I can even block this, so we're trading 1 card for 1 card, but my opponent is playing a deck where he really wants all of his 1/1s. I'll snap block when he attacks. I mean, there's no way he will use a rapid shot for that, so it's just a trade. Alright, now I need to draw something. Oh no, not a 6-drop. That's not good. I need to draw more Firemane Cubs or any number of my many 1 and 2 drops. Torch will do it, Wrangler is great, Waker of Ancients is great. I have a lot of 1/2 drops that I can play. Even the 1/1 flying Wasp, whatever it's called, Friendly Wasp perhaps, even that would be okay. Yeah, my opponent has correctly played his weapon onto a drone rather than his Ronin, which is obviously the correct play because you want to not put all your eggs in the same basket. If he attacks, I will instant block the Ronin here. I'll block this one because it's shiny. And it looks very cool. Nope, okay, so I'm taking a lot of damage. Going down to 11. On the following turn, I can't even play the dragon anymore because this comes to play depleted. So I think I'm dead. Okay, well this buys me a little bit of time. I'm gonna shoot this fiery, colorful one because, you know, take that nice looking premium Ronin. I'll block this one and take 4, go to 7. But if he plays a queen, I think I'm dead. That's an 8-7 queen as well. I'm not going to do the math in my head, but I think I am 2 life from dead, which means he'll finish me off with a torch. It also won't matter because nothing I play this turn would matter. There's nothing I can play that can stop those units from hitting me. Yeah, so that's it. So, played against a real deck, got punished. Pretty hard. That was too fast. And I think if we had drawn the Firemane Cub a little bit earlier, and taken, what, maybe 5 or 6 less damage, then perhaps we had a small chance, because I could play a Heart of the Vault in the following turn. So if he was just a tiny bit slower, it might be good enough. But his Bandit Queen was also an 8-7, which means that my Heart of the Vault cannot block it. So I think I would have lost either way. If his Bandit Queen was smaller, then maybe... but then again, if I had drawn a Firemane Cub a couple turns earlier, he would have a lot less Warcry triggers, so that Bandit Queen wouldn't be so big. Bands with Legends. That is, I believe, a legend from Magic the Gathering. From the Ice Age set. I believe only one card in the entire Magic game has Bands with Legends. It's possibly one of the most useless abilities, but hey. We'll play this and we'll play this. And hope he doesn't harsh roll us away before I get some value from these cards. Because I can't play the Soulfire Drake for quite some time because I'm drawing that. This is miserable when you draw Heart of the Vault, when you need to draw power and you need to draw specifically fire. So there's never a reason to play a second copy of Waker of Ancients because there's the abilities, you know, don't stack or anything. Oh dear, I am so dead. Well, I'm gonna play it out because it does an extra point of damage. He can always play Enforcer and silence one of them. I don't think he's gonna harsh roll away my board because my board's pretty crappy. And he's certainly not gonna play another Comber Healer onto the board if he's planning to harsh rule. I mean, I pose no threat to him at the moment. So my best draw in the game right now would be a seat, or sorry, a banner. A banner would be the best. All right, so we're 100% dead here. Yeah, my best draw still is the... No, it's a banner. Banner is the one I need. Yeah, banner. I need a banner. Yep. I am so dead. Yeah, I'll just take 11. That is definitely not going to work. We'll play one more turn, but I suspect my opponent with 8 cards in hand is going to kill us. Okay, let's see. I can chump this. And I can take 10, go to 4. What can save me? Because even the Soulfire Drake won't do it, because... Well, actually, no. The Soulfire Drake might do it. Because I can block it. So the question is, do I play the Heart of the Vault, or do I play the Soulfire Drake? I think I play the Soulfire Drake here, actually. Okay, so what I'm going to do is play this, and I'm going to go ahead and kill the Seraph, because he can start making units with it very soon. I have... So if I attack him with my Soulfire Drake, and he has a removal spell, then I die. So I think I just hold it back. So now he needs 2 removal spells to kill me. And I will definitely just chump that 10-10 with this 1-1 over here. Okay, that's still okay. I can still double block and not die this turn. But I don't see how I can come back from this game if my Soulfire Drake is dead. Or silence, because I think one of the best top decks would be a Divining Rod and then hit 4 units, but that's looking like it's not going to happen. I have no removal spell in my deck that can beat a 13-13. In fact, I think my only removal was Torch. And because these things have endurance, I basically have no way to sneak in the attacks. I think that's it. There's nothing else I can do. I can't play 3 flying units this turn. I don't remember what my starting rank is, but I think I am about even 50-50. Let's just do one last game. Unfortunately, none of those games was the deck able to showcase the kind of the times where it would go off, you know, like drawing into a chain of units using the Firemaw. So that's never happened even once. So that's kind of unlucky. I'd say it could happen 1 out of every 5 games, realistically speaking. This game is looking promising. If he doesn't kill this, I can play Crimson Firemaw on turn 3, and then I can do something crazy. But he's gonna slay that, isn't he? This is a Lightning Rod. It's killed on sight. Huh, weird. A Privilege of Rank is not something you play in Argenport, so this might be Armory, and he's just missing his fire. I made a huge mistake. I should have played the Amber Monument, because I had nothing to play this turn. Oh, 2-color Armory? Or still 3-color Armory, but color screwed. Okay. The fact that I missed, I drew a land, made me kind of glad that I made the mistake and played this as 5-5 instead. So it's play bad, get rewarded. Alright. Alright, now we're very far, well not very far, we're two more power away from playing Kaleb. Oh dear. 1 power away. If he didn't Wrath away the Wrangler, that would have been pretty perfect. So he's gonna get triggering no matter what. Let's see what he gets. 1 or 2. If he gets 2 things, then he hit another Tavrod. He got 0 things. That's really unlucky. So I need to draw power to play Kaleb, but I can play every other card in my deck though, so hopefully this is going to be a decent enough draw. Okay, so let's just play Kaleb. Hope I get a good weapon. Unblockable. Oh, that's really good. So he needs to kill Kaleb this turn, or he dies to it next turn. Because any weapon I put onto it would boost his power by 1, I hope. But any weapon he draws can kill Kaleb, though. So that's unfortunate. Any weapon would do it. Even the weakest weapon in his deck would kill Kaleb here. Yep, that does it. It's too bad that he has a maiden in play. Wait a minute. So I might not die here. Because this kills the hammer. Okay, wait, let's see. Let's kill the hammer. And then play this. And the reason I did this is because if I somehow survive next turn through some kind of miracle, I can... that's too bad. I can Kaleb and put weapons on these things and hopefully sneak in enough damage. I'm really hoping he attacks me with the Maiden here. Oh, well, I would just keep pumping them. I would... Oh, okay, so he's pretty cautious. He's keeping the Maiden back. Rightfully so. He saw Kaleb from me, so you know he knows that I'm running Kaleb. All right, let's see what this does. Give him flying, then I win. I don't win because I don't have enough damage. Oh, jeez. Really close though. Really close. Really close. I need one of these guys to be able to get through, but nope. Okay, we're gonna have to chump block this now. So I might win this game if I draw a torch. Or actually any number of flying charge units. So the Soulfire Drake would do it. Oh, this is kind of tense. I can still win this game. I have quite a few outs, actually. I have 3 more torches in my deck. And I have... No, 4 torches and... Oh no, I'm dead. No. I had a shot. I had a shot. I would love to see what my next card is. Oh wait. How come he can't attack me again? Did he already use the attack? But either way, it didn't make a difference. We do lose this game, but that was pretty exciting. But I can no longer win with a torch, and I can no longer win with a Soulfire Drake because he has 4 armor. So and I can't do 6 damage. That's too bad. Well, I think that's it. I think that gave you an idea of how the deck how the deck plays out. You didn't get to see any of the super cool stuff with the deck, unfortunately. And I did get influence screwed a few times, so I think there is still room for fine-tuning this deck, and I will continue to play with it because I do like the deck a lot. It's pretty exciting to play. But between this video and the last video, I've kind of showcased how I go about testing a new deck. Obviously, this is not a deck that I brew. I simply took it off the net. But the process in which I refined it and tuned it is always the same. I would play the deck as the way the original creator made it, at least 20-30 games to get a feel for it. And then I would start to make my adjustments. And you don't even have to get locked in to the way the deck was designed. For example, you don't need to get stuck with the idea of divining rod and charge units, right? I think as you play with any deck, what's important is to learn from what the deck does, get a feel for it, and take the components that you like and get rid of the components that you don't like. And this is one way of building new decks. This is through a sort of an evolutionary deck building instead of revolutionary deck building, right? Revolutionary is when you come up with something brand new that no one's ever thought of, and evolutionary is when you take something that already exists and you evolve it into something else. And I do think the current version of the deck is an evolved version of the original deck. It does some of the same things as the original deck, but not all. And I think it's a much more consistent, a much more effective, and more competitive version of the original deck. But thank you very much for watching. As always, if you like what you see, give me a like or thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to see more videos from me. Thanks for watching.